Have you ever felt a bone-chilling presence, an eerie vibe that made your skin crawl? Picture a tranquil town, a haven of peace and serenity, where the only sounds are the rustling leaves and the distant laughter of children playing. Nestled within this idyllic landscape, unsuspecting of the dark undercurrents that lurk beneath, is our protagonist, a local journalist. He's the kind of person who knows everyone and everything about the town, a man whose life is intertwined with the stories of the people around him. As the days turn into weeks, he starts noticing unusual events that seem out of place in their peaceful existence. A missing pet here, a misplaced item there. The strange occurrences aren't alarming at first, merely ripples in the calm surface of their lives. But as the ripples grow into waves, a sense of unease begins to creep in. He could not have imagined the sinister reality that was waiting to unfold. In the heart of the town, a disturbing pattern was emerging. It was as if the town had been cursed, as one by one the faces of familiar townsfolk started to vanish, swallowed by the maw of the unknown. The first to disappear was a local shopkeeper, known for his jovial spirit and friendly banter. Then came the second, a librarian, a woman of quiet strength and wisdom. The third, a young man barely out of his teens, full of dreams and ambitions. Each disappearance as mysterious as the one before, leaving behind a chilling silence and a void that couldn't be filled. As the town's tranquility was replaced with an eerie quietude, a protagonist emerged from the shadows. Driven by an insatiable curiosity and a desire for justice, they began to delve into each case, peeling back the layers of the seemingly mundane to reveal a pattern that was far from ordinary. The victims, though different in age, occupation, and lifestyle, all shared one common trait. They were loners, preferring the company of their own thoughts rather than the hustle and bustle of the town. They were the ones who slipped through the cracks unnoticed until they were gone. The protagonist's investigation also revealed another chilling fact. Each disappearance happened within a fortnight of each other, always on a new moon night. And each time a soft, eerie whistle was heard, a haunting tune that seemed to echo from the heart of the town, lingering long after the victim had vanished. The pattern was unsettling, the fear palpable. The townsfolk were on edge, their daily routines disrupted, their nights filled with dread. The jovial laughter and friendly banter were replaced with hushed whispers and fearful glances. The town, once known for its warm hospitality and vibrant life, now stood in the grip of an invisible fear, the fear of the unknown, the fear of the unseen. The town was in the grip of an invisible fear, a fear that lurked unseen in the shadows. The whispers of the missing echoed through the silent streets, a chilling reminder of the unsettling pattern that had befallen the town. The predator was among them, hidden in plain sight. Imagine a quaint small town where everyone knows everyone, the kind of place where children play in the streets till dusk, and neighbors share more than just a cup of sugar. Now picture a chilling realization dawning upon this close-knit community, a realization that the streets they once considered safe were now a hunting ground for a predator. The protagonist, a diligent detective, was the first to connect the dots. A series of eerie coincidences, a pattern of disappearances, and a chilling sense of fear that gripped the town. Unsettling evidence began to surface, pointing towards a horrifying truth. A serial killer was on the loose, operating right under their noses. This was no ordinary adversary. This was an unseen predator, a master of disguise, blending seamlessly into the fabric of the community. A wolf in sheep's clothing who converted the town's familiarity into a weapon of deceit. The townspeople, once friendly and trusting, now wore expressions of fear, suspicion, and paranoia. Every neighbor, every friend, every passerby could be the predator. The local diner, once bustling with laughter and chatter, stood silent. The playgrounds, usually echoing with the sounds of children's laughter, were deserted. The streets, once filled with the hustle and bustle of everyday life, were now eerily quiet. A cloud of fear had descended upon the town, casting long, ominous shadows. Every knock on the door, every rustle in the bushes, every face in the crowd was a potential threat. The predator had not just claimed victims, but had stolen the town's sense of security, its tranquility, and its innocence. The townspeople, once united by their shared love for their small town, were now bound by a shared terror. The protagonists knew they were up against a formidable adversary, but they also knew they had something the predator didn't: the resolve to protect their town, their people, their home. They knew they had to catch this predator, not just to restore peace, but to reclaim their town from the clutches of fear. The people were living their worst nightmare. A predator was among them. The horrifying truth was about to be revealed. Our protagonist, a seasoned detective, had been tirelessly working on the case, combing through countless pieces of evidence. He was desperate to find the thread that would unravel the mystery, the piece of the puzzle that would lead him to the identity of the serial killer. And then, like a bolt from the blue, it struck him. The perpetrator was hiding in plain sight, a wolf in sheep's clothing. The breakthrough came with a seemingly insignificant detail, a small discrepancy that had been overlooked. It was a simple receipt from a local diner, found at one of the crime scenes. The date and time coincided with the last seen moments of one of the victims. Piecing together the puzzle, the detective realized that the killer was someone familiar, someone from within the community itself. A chill ran down his spine as the horrifying truth dawned upon him. The serial killer was not an outsider. The terror wasn't lurking in the shadows, but was walking among them, sharing their lives, their stories. The killer was one of their own, a trusted neighbor, a friendly face. The realization sent shockwaves through the detective's mind. It shattered the illusion of safety, the belief that the monster was out there, not here among them. The community was his hunting ground, and the victims were not random. They were chosen. Each murder was a carefully orchestrated act, performed by someone who knew the ins and outs of their lives, their routines, their vulnerabilities. This was not just a serial killer. This was a predator, a monster living amongst them, hiding behind a mask of normality. The detective could hardly believe it. The truth was more terrifying than any fiction. The serial killer was not a faceless monster, but someone they all knew, someone they trusted. The community was not just the victim, but also the stage for this grotesque performance. The mask had slipped, revealing the monster beneath. The end was near, but not without a final confrontation. The last chapter of this horrifying tale unfolded as the protagonist stood face to face with the serial killer. This was a moment of stark reality, a chilling climax of a series of gruesome events that had plagued the town for far too long. The serial killer, cornered and aware of his impending doom, made a desperate attempt to escape. His instincts were those of a cornered animal, lashing out with all the ferocity of a man who knew that his end was imminent. But the protagonist, fueled by a burning desire for justice, was not to be deterred. As the tension mounted, the police closed in, their sirens echoing in the distance, steadily growing louder. The killer's eyes darted around, looking for an escape route, a glimmer of hope in this hopeless situation. But this time there was no escape, no shadows to melt into, no unsuspecting victims to exploit. The protagonist, driven by a sense of duty and justice, matched the killer's desperation with sheer determination. The battle of wills was fierce, the atmosphere filled with a tangible sense of dread. But it was the killer who faltered first, the weight of his heinous crimes finally catching up to him. As the police arrived, the serial killer was taken into custody, his reign of terror finally coming to an end. The protagonist, who had been steadfast in pursuit, stood silently as the handcuffs clicked shut, the sound echoing the finality of the killer's fate. The capture of the serial killer marked the end of a dark chapter in the town's history. The nightmare that had gripped the town was over. The streets were safe again, and the residents could finally sleep peacefully at night, knowing that the monster that had haunted their dreams was behind bars, never to harm anyone again. The town breathed a sigh of relief. Their nightmare was finally over. The scars of the past can't be easily erased. In the aftermath of these harrowing events, an eerie stillness descended upon the town. The streets that once buzzed with life now whispered tales of a predator that had lurked amongst them. The townspeople, their spirits bruised, grappled with the haunting memories of their terrifying ordeal. Yet, in the face of adversity, an indomitable spirit emerged. The community, united in their shared trauma, began the arduous journey towards healing. The local church started offering counseling, while the town hall became a place for communal gatherings, offering solace and support. The echoes of the predator's reign of terror gradually faded into the background, yet they left indelible marks on the hearts of the townspeople. Each whispered tale, each shared memory was a testament to their resilience. They were survivors, not victims, adamant in their resolve to rise above their horrifying past. The town had survived its darkest hour, but the echoes of the past would forever linger,